Yes, ma'am, we're good to go.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another interesting session of Naredco Mahi series, where we every month do session on very interesting topics. Sometimes on startups, sometimes on various verticals that Naredco Mahi has been working on. And today, very excited to do this session with Rahul Narvekar because that's another vertical of Naredco Mahi that is called Dolphin Tank. So I would be taking this session forward. First, to briefly introduce Rahul. So Rahul Narvekar is the founder and CEO of India Network and founder director of Scale Ventures, an early stage investment fund. He comes with a diversified experience. He started his career in 1994 with cable advertising and co-founder of Asia's first interactive music channel, Oxygen, in 1999. He, he is also the VP marketing at Answers, earliest e-commerce company, Fashion and You, when no one had heard about Flipkart and Myntra. And the best thing is he's managed to raise funds even at that stage. Partnered with NDTV to set up an Indian roots for selling designer and ethnic wear to global Indians. Exiting this in 2016, he set up an upscale venture group, an early stage fund, as also the India Network, an on ground community for startups focused on tier 2, 3, and 4 and beyond cities of India and students. This, I think, is really commendable, because the time that we're talking about in 2016, where, people had never thought about doing something in tier 2, tier 3 cities. So there is this gentleman, he was more focused on tier 2, tier 3 cities, and he's done commendable amount of work with those kind of entrepreneurs, giving them idea of startups, working with them on their ideas. So that is something really, really commendable from him. He's an alumnus of Mumbai University and also IIM Calcutta. He believes in the power of entrepreneurship to empower India. An enthusiastic traveler and a foodie, Rahul loves to be on road and relishes new cuisines, having run about 9 half marathons and 4,100 kilometers ultra marathons. Wow, that's actually wow. He is the first person in the world with sleep apnea to do the Everest Base Camp in 2016. His latest initiative, Dolphin Tank, which is in collaboration with Startup India, Naredco, and Resurgent India, has been the talk of the town, where he is building an accelerator platform for prop tech companies, where they already have more than 15 mentors and industry experts who are onboarded and will be working with selected startups founders on their growth journeys. So, without taking much of time further, I would like to kickstart this interesting discussion with none other than Rahul Narvekar. Welcome, Rahul, for this session,
Thank you
and
so
it's
much.
a pleasure to have you on this.
Thank you.
So, I think, let's start from scratch. So, tell us something more about India Network. So, I think, when we have to start about Dolphin Tank and your background, I think we need to start first with India Network so that people know more about where are you coming in from and why this Dolphin Tank came into the picture.
Sonal, basically, when I exited Indian Roots, we had set up a fund called Scale Ventures, and it was a Cat 1. In fact, funnily, we got our Cat 1 license on the day of demonetization. So morning, where
Oh,
we were thinking of where will we celebrate in
wrong
the evening,
timing.
and yeah, and in the evening, this bomb was dropped. Uh, but one of the things I found very, and again, I'm a Bombay boy, one brought up in Bombay, as I love to say, trapped in Delhi NCR from the last 24 years, thanks to my wife. So I'm a metro guy, right? But then I also discovered that whenever I would go to, say, a small town to speak at an event
Hmm.
or meet people, it was a different world, India, Bharat, whatever. And 2016, I happened to go for a Head Start event in a small town called Puducherry, which is way down from Chennai. And
Right.
after my gig, I was talking to a bunch of startup entrepreneurs, and this very tall, hefty guy, IIT Madras alum, comes and starts talking about his startup.
Hmm.
So I just stopped him and I said, you know what? Why are you doing it on your own? Just put it on a platform.
Hmm.
So he's like, "Nahi, sir, where? I said, you don't say quicker. So quicker.
Hmm.
Okay. So he's like, sir, I've been trying from last 1 year. They're not responding. So I said, what nonsense? It's their job. How will they not respond? No, sir.
Right.
Started showing me emails. Now, luckily for me, Pranay Chule, the founder CEO, he's on the board of Scale Ventures and very good friend. So I just happened to call him. He also picked up. And I told him, I said, this is happening. He said, okay, give him the phone. So I said, yeah, talk to Pranay Chule. And so now this kid started shaking and shivering. I can't speak to Mr. Chule. I said, okay, I explained everything to Pranay. Cut the call, forwarded the emails to him. And in 5 minutes, his Tamil Nadu had called me. I was like, sir, meri naukri kyun le rahe ho type. And his work got done. Now I am expecting this kid will be happy, grateful that मैंने काम कर दिया. He sat down and he started crying. आपका काम कर दिया, आप क्यों रो रहे हो? So then whatever, and थोड़ा सा accent challenge होता है तमिलनाडु में. What I understood he's saying is, sir, I'm not an idiot. I mean, I'm a IIT Madras alum. But for 1 year, whatever I could think of, whatever my network, my cognitive abilities, I tried everything.
And it didn't work.
Nothing happened. And you did it with one phone call. So I got this aha moment that for a lot of people like us, what could be one phone call? कि अरे अपना बच्चा कर दो. One piece of advice, बेटा इसको ऐसे नहीं ऐसे देख ले. Or sometimes just by lending your name that okay, I'm coming, Sonal is backing you. Can potentially transform somebody's company and life. So that's where the whole idea of India Network came together. And like an idiot, I tried to build it like a Tinder for startups, mentor meets mentee matchmaking platform, 2016. And it was a massive mistake because unfortunately, with all due respect, this kid had no clue what mentorship means. So if I connect a kid to a mentor, they would basically have a very clear ask. Funding de do, famous kar do this for me. If you, till the time I have hope that you'll do something for me, you are my inspiration, you are my mentor, you are my brother, whatever, family. And the day the hope goes away, you're a fraud, you've wasted my time. So then I realized that this is a broken model, because the mentor started blocking the number saying, boss, what is this, So then after a lot of iterations, we finally realized that the best model is to do what globally Y Combinator and in India, all these guys are doing. It's an accelerator program. There is a start date, there is an end date. It's a cohort of whatever number of people coming together. And you take a stake in them because then there is skin in the game and all. So after all these things we realized, and I also, in 2018, Sonal, what happened? I was speaking at the United Nations. Right. And I happened to meet this lovely lady called Marva Allen, who runs a bootcamp called Survive and Thrive in New York. And she had the original sharks, Damon Johnson, Kevin, all these guys were mentors there. And she asked me to come be a speaker. And मेरी ऐसी उसके साथ बहस हो गई. So I said, why are you getting all these fancy guys? Get kids from small town India to come and attend this. He said, you get them.
That's the value.
On an impulse, we selected 20 startups from India. And I said, for free, we are taking you to New York to get mentored by the sharks.
Okay.
So पहला learning तो ये था कि a lot of them thought this is some sort of a scam.
हाँ, क्यों लेके जाएंगे?
हाँ, क्यों लेके जाएंगे? And all we could get after running a huge campaign was 3,600 applications all over India. We selected 20, we took them. But I saw the difference just 3 days of hardcore mentoring one-on-one did to these startups. Almost all of them are doing very well. Okay. So I saw this with my own eyes. I said, okay, let me sort of replicate. We got a little second wave and I lost my wife and all of that. But now we have launched our first prop tech. In fact, the name, of course, I had not thought of Dolphin Tech. I was thinking of an India Network Accelerator. But Ananta Raghuvanshi ma'am was the one who said, no, we are not sharks. Sharks eat their babies. We are the friend of this entrepreneur. So we are dolphins. And it's such a powerful name. I mean, whenever now I tell people Dolphin Tank, they get it. They understand immediately. So the whole idea is it's a structured program. Starts on a fixed date, 6 months. They get access to mentors. They get access to markets. They get access to investors. We help them refine their pitch and all of that. And then hopefully a few of them will scale to the next level. In fact, we have already started now getting queries from people for when is the next cohort starting?
I will had a few sessions with
the first cohort.
Yeah. I would definitely
come back. So that's where we are at.
Being a part of the same platform, even we've been getting a lot of queries, what after Dolphin Tanks, right? So we'll come back to that. But first, coming back on India Network back again. So it's like, how does that work? So, how did the idea of going back to tier 2, tier 3 cities suddenly dropped off? leaving the metros, because I'm sure metro also you would have found a lot of inspiring entrepreneurs who would probably like to come up, do something on their own. But I understand that Puducherry story, but beyond that, what are the other startups which you have worked down in tier 2, tier 3 cities? If you can
So I'll
just.
tell you, we from a fund, we have been consistently investing in startups. Okay.
Hmm.
But what we also realized is that tier one has a lot of options.
Right.
Okay. And purely from a fund perspective, ना, so to give you a real estate analogy, आप बोलते हो कि हाँ यार मुझे अच्छी डील कहाँ मिलेगी? Where will I get an entry at a lower valuation? So the challenge in a tier one setup is that most of these kids will have access to funds, they'll have access, the attitude अलग है. But you go to tier two, they are more hungry, they're more keen. Okay. And a lot of times what I've seen, honestly, Sonal, is that these kids are very talented. They're doing something really brilliant, but they don't have access to somebody giving them just that 10% का जो advice ना, इसका narrative ऐसे कर लो, या why don't you just tweak this model a bit? But the biggest thing I have seen is they want somebody like us to give them that, okay, I'm standing next to you, that validation. That is the biggest difference. And since, I mean, in the last 16 years that I've been doing this, traveling across small town India, from Imphal, which is now in a horrible state, to Puducherry, to Meghalaya, to Jammu and Kashmir, to the largest Turtuk, the last village on the India-Pakistan border. I've been everywhere. Okay.
Wow.
And one good thing that Shark Tank India has done is that level of awareness that's now
Spirit of
changed.
entrepreneurship.
Yeah. So earlier, so my CV, my last job was with DLF. I was part of DLF to 2007, 2009. And after that, when I did fashion in 2009, we were the first luxury e-commerce site of India. And honestly, the rumor in the market was that after the recession, DLF ने मुझे नौकरी से निकाल दिया, तो मेरे पास कोई काम धंधा नहीं है, तो मैं घर पे इंटरनेट पे कपड़े बेच रहा हूँ.
But you managed to raise fund there. Imagine.
So no, till the time, so till I was struggling, honestly, nobody understood that internet पे कपड़े कौन खरीदेगा. Okay. And then we raised $8 million from Sequoia. But even then, a lot of my colleagues from the real estate world honestly thought this is some sort of a scam. क्यों आपको कोई $8 million दे रहा है? It's not a loan. Okay. And then 4 months later, we raised $40 million at 10x the valuation. Or they've got more suspicious. 4 months
what is actually happening? What is actually happening?
And then we raised $128 million. Achha, us time pe kya tha? The way regulations were, most of the funds were headquartered out of Mauritius. Okay. Most people could not even spell Sequoia. They had never heard of a Sequoia. They had never heard of a SoftBank. They had never heard of a Lightspeed.
Obviously, आप tier 2, tier 3 cities में जा रहे हो, वहां पे जाके लोगों को अगर बोलोगे Sequoia, तो nobody would even know how to spell it. So most people understood
funding means bank se loan le rahe ho, collateral, and here, and these are young kids. These are all ideas where most of the typical businessmen thought, "Yaar, how are you ever going to make a profit?" All of that. But now what has happened, thanks to Shark Tank, you go to the remotest part of the country.
People will understand.
People are understanding. They are seeing what has happened thanks to Zomato ka IPO, Swiggy, Oyo, they are understanding. So now what has changed is even parents, especially parents in small towns, are telling their kids, okay, beta, you want to try a startup for the next few years, go do it. Job to phir bhi mil jayegi.
Which is, it's like a new India that we talk about.
Okay. Also, interestingly, if you look at real estate, okay, India is a market which is completely outperforming the West. So let's take the most hottest space right now, co-working. Okay. WeWork globally was the poster child. Okay. $84 billion IPO. Okay. And then a spectacular fall. And then COVID time, obviously everything was shut. And people said co-working as a concept is over. You look at WeWork India. Absolutely profitable. Very well. There was even talk that WeWork India might buy out WeWork globally. And you look at now SmartWorks, you look at Office, all of them are lined up for IPOs. All of them are scaling very fast. They're doing very well. Okay. So India, you look at globally, Uber in India is struggling, but Ola's, pivoted from cabs to now electric to whatever, right? So India as a market is very different. Okay. In fact, I think yesterday or today, this report has come that prop tech as an industry today is less than 5% of the market. Okay,
Right.
by 2047, it's expected
Reading
to
it
go to
up.
12%.
Yeah.
It's like a $300-400 billion industry.
True. No, that's
So
a huge
overall in
space.
real estate, prop tech is gonna, I mean, it's a massive growth in the next 10 years. So our
Great.
whole idea at Dolphin Tank and India Network is basically what are we doing? We are going to all these small towns. We're identifying the best talent there. We are working with them to polish their pitch and their craft and their personality. And then we are presenting them in front of global investors or Indian investors saying, okay, let's take it to the next level. That's all what we are doing.
Great. No, I think that's a very good platform which has been started, and looking at the way the entrepreneurship as a concept is coming up in India and the way PropTech is coming up in the market. So I think it's a very good platform for you guys to work on. But just another question is, what is in it for the companies that who are coming in and for the investors who are coming in?
So for the companies who are coming in, it's a very simple thing that most of
For
them,
example, any founder who
uh,
what is your entry criteria? So is it like, anybody at the idea stage can come in?
no, so
Or,
basically there is an application process. Okay.
right.
And because it's still a very nascent industry,
Hmm.
I can't have a saying, okay, a normal case in an accelerator, I would have said, okay, everybody only with the revenue I can take in. But because PropTech is a very nascent and there are so many different domains within PropTech. So
Hmm.
somebody's doing smart material, somebody's doing co-working, somebody's doing brokerage efficiency and all of that, right? So we have kept a slightly fluid criteria for now. And that is what it took us almost 3 months to screen all these applications and select these people. Basically, the core reason to select somebody can we, with our expertise, our mentors, and a little bit of capital, help them scale to the next level. See,
Hmm.
ultimately, this is a business for Dolphin Tank. It's not some charity that we're doing. We're
Hmm.
doing good, but it's a business. So whoever we are investing in, whether it's our time, whether it's effort, even giving our brand name that they are part of the Dolphin Tank cohort, the idea is at some point they will scale to the
Hmm.
next level. So one of our portfolios has just got a commitment of 2 crores.
Wow, that's the first
Okay.
closure
And
that we're looking about.
so since the paperwork has still not been finished, so I can't name it, but
Right.
this is from a very small town in
Hmm.
central India. And we got equity at a 2 CR valuation and they have raised at a 20 CR valuation already. So it's a 10x
Okay.
growth. And even this completion has not happened. They are now in the next week meeting a very large family office who's wanting to either join the round or top it up. Okay.
Fantastic.
So, and in typical in VC speaks, what kya hota hai, if you're saying 10, you need to get just one great exit.
Hmm.
And once, and in first and second and third cohort, if you're able to get 1 or 2 good exits, I think that's all. I mean, it sort of creates its own. And then for next time, we will, it will be much faster. So if you look at the most successful accelerator in the world, which is Y Combinator, it's almost now become a $500 billion valued accelerator.
Wow.
Okay. Uh, so basically, again, if I put it very crudely, I was in New York and I was speaking at an event and I was introduced as the Seema auntie of the startup ecosystem. Okay.
I
So while
I knew
everybody
it. I
laughed,
intentionally did not mention.
no, but I'll tell you, it's a very simple thing. I'm
Yeah.
52 years old. I have
Right.
worked in corporates. I built startups in the old economy when internet was on, and I built 2 successful ones in the new economy. Okay.
Yes.
Basically, that's my role, that I am looking at matchmaking between an old economy mindset, traditional real estate business,
Hmm.
and a young energy kid and saying, boss, आपको एक दूसरे के साथ क्यों matchmaking करना है? And a
Hmm.
lot of times what happens is you put 2 of them in the room, it'll never work. But somebody like me talking to the kid and saying, okay, this is an old economy business guy, but their
Hmm.
distribution can power you. So one of the challenges we discovered, Sonal, was that a lot of these guys are very, very good at their product or tech or whatever, right?
But you don't know how to pitch.
Nahi, I'll tell you, if they get one notice of GST,
Hmm.
they get bloody scared
Hmm.
because they don't know how to address it, right? So, and that is where an old economy person can sort of help them out, right? So, just that. But a lot of times, like if you look at again, say co-working, okay, uh, this young startup in our cohort. Now he's got a great opportunity to pick up space in government areas.
Hmm.
He's like, how do I negotiate with these guys? I say, if you get somebody who's done that all their life, who's doing it on your
That
behalf,
will
and you
help.
focus only on the community, it's a great
Hmm.
partnership.
Hmm.
And then we have to go to this old economy, 60 year, 65-year-old, 70-year-old person who's run a business for 40 years and tell him, this kid is not being cocky, he's not arrogant, he knows what he's
Hmm.
doing. And why should you collaborate with him?
True.
So
It's
that's our
more
role, basically.
mentoring part of it.
Okay.
But what is the status of the companies right now? So are you guys still
We have done a
accepting the
few sessions.
applications?
Yeah, yeah.
No, are you guys still accepting the applications or is it
So
closed for
I
the
would
time
say
being?
our first
The
cohort
process.
is done. Our
Hmm?
first cohort is done. Having
Yeah.
said that, if we get one or two more companies who are already at a certain level
Can
and
you
who we
define
think
that
can
certain
still join,
level?
maybe already doing a bit of revenue,
Hmm.
product is sorted, because we got a lot of applications where they have, like, say, in terms of their tech, they have tried 80%, 20% is spending. We couldn't take them in because they're not ready.
Hmm.
Okay. Uh, and then a lot of them thought that they are a startup, but we had to tell them, nee, but so see, again, understand the businesses. We want businesses which can scale very fast.
True.
Only then do we make an exit. So from our perspective, if I'm not looking at a potential exit in 3 to 5 years,
Hmm.
I will not invest in a slow and steady business.
Obviously,
Okay.
because as an investor, you need to look at an exit route
It's a
also.
it's
That
a
what is
J
the
curve
exit
for
route
us.
that you can
A
talk
lot of
about?
them did not understand. That's another challenge of working with tier two. So they would keep trying to convince us, no, 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 but I am a startup. And we'd say, no, you are not a startup. You are a regular business. We
Hmm.
don't see scale happening. So we are open to one or two more coming in because of only one thing, they add to the diversity of the batch. See, one of the
Hmm.
big things we have learned is the peer-to-peer learning. So if I'm taking a session for 25 people and I'm talking to one of them, a lot of the others will also use those learning in whatever they are grappling with.
Absolutely. So I think, building the right set of cohort or the right set of members is also very important. So that,
Absolutely.
when they have to spend 6 months together, they're able to gel along well, they're on the same mind frame that they're talking about. So I think that's also important. So I think that's a great news for everyone who wants to, probably join the cohort, that in case you feel, probably you're still in the startup stages and have an idea and looking at some support coming in. So directly get in touch with Rahul. I think he will be able to understand and discuss further in case you guys can still be onboarded on those. Okay, coming back on my next question, when I want to more understand about, how has been the journey so far? So it's been like 4 months, 5 months that cohort the accelerator platform was actually launched. So onboarding of mentors, who are the various mentors that have been onboarded, in case you can mention few of the names. How has been the application process, shortlist? What are the various investors which are there? So whatever you can comfortably discuss, happy to discuss on that.
So we have a lot of people like networks, like say a FARD network is with
Hmm.
us. Okay. We have people like Venture Garage. We have all these people, but we also, at the stage that we are at, we have a lot of angel investors, individuals.
Hmm.
Okay. Uh, because most of this cohort is quite young, very, very early stage. Okay. Uh, we are now that we have identified the whole cohort, we have, as of 3 days back, started the process of sending out this whole details to all the family offices and the
Okay.
early stage funds. Okay. We were deliberately not doing it earlier. Now that we have started. In terms of mentors, we have a lot of people from real estate, like you are there, Ananta Raghuvanshi ma'am is there, Smita Patil ma'am is there. A lot of people who have, for me, my mentor was Ananta ma'am, like super boss when I was like a bacha in DLF, right?
Yes, that right.
Okay. So one is that. But we also have a lot of mentors from the startup world.
Hmm.
Okay. People who are founders, who have built companies. We have a lot of investors like me who are saying, okay, once they reach a certain stage, the only thing is right now we are not revealing too much, because one challenge with young startup founders is the moment they see an investor, they only want to go and pitch to them. और
Hmm.
थोड़ा सा ना स्पैम कर देते हैं, वो सुनते नहीं है, वो लिंक्डइन पे ढूंढ लेते हैं उनको. We have had instances where we have to tell these guys कि you know he is part of Dolphin Tank as a mentor, but you can't keep spamming him with messages. In their enthusiasm, they don't understand. So we are now deliberately still keeping a lot of things under wraps, because saying first, and right now the phase is all the 3-4 sessions we have done. We are teaching these kids on how to get the best mentorship from a mentor.
I
Because one
think
of the
that.
challenges, Sonal, unfortunately, is most of people in India have no clue what mentorship means.
Hmm.
You have to tell them mentorship doesn't mean that you chase them for money or a transactional ask. Do this
Hmm.
for me. We have had kids saying, okay, I'm trying to pitch to say DLF. वो मेरा हो नहीं रहा है, तो why don't you get me an appointment straight? You know,
हाँ, true.
because you can do it with a phone call. And a
Hmm.
lot of them get very worked up and upset कि अच्छा आप मेरे लिए ऐसा नहीं करोगे. Now that
Hmm.
I'm part of the cohort, why can't? So we are right now, we are working with them. In fact, one of the sessions we are going to do with Sujata Suri soon is to sort of sensitize these people on how to interact with mentors. You know, that's so right now it's the foundation laying with the whole cohort.
Hmm.
Then we are going to open them up to, and also we have told them, but again, the massive pressure from them, pitch kab karenge.
Hmm.
And we tell them, you're not ready to pitch right now. Your narrative is also not ready. So one of the biggest lessons is when we told these guys that you have to pitch in 3 minutes. Not one of them was ready to pitch in 3 minutes. They all had average pitching time of 25 to 30 minutes. And we told them that's all
Wow.
very, yeah. And they see when they're pitching, they don't realize, right? And they think that मैं ये भी information दे दूं, मैं ये भी information. I said, boss, it's too much.
Hmm.
You know? So one of the sessions is what's your narrative? And when I
Hmm.
tell them it has to be in one line, they're like, one line में कैसे बता दे?
हाँ, हमारा धंधा हम एक लाइन में कैसे बताएंगे?
हाँ. And again, that's also a function of India ka education system, where we think if we give more information, that's better. So typically, each of them will tell them 4 to 5 different kinds of. मैं ये भी कर रहा हूँ, मैं ये भी. We said, don't say one
Hmm.
thing.
No, absolutely. I think, Rahul, you are sinking in so well with these guys because most of the starters that I also come along with is, where they need help right from pitching. Matlab, forget the pitch deck, the financial models, valuations, the far story for them. So wherever, these guys need to introduce themselves, they are not able to sell their product also well. So because they are not clear about how to pitch in. उनको यही लगता है कि ठीक है इन्वेस्टर के पास जा रहे हैं अपना एंड पर्पस ये है पैसा रेज करना है तो हम इतना बोलेंगे तो पैसा मिल जाएगा बट दे डोंट ट्राई एंड अंडरस्टैंड कि बॉस इफ इट इज योर प्रोडक्ट इट हैज टू बी पिच्ड इन वेल बिकॉज द investor is not here to give you money. It's just that, he needs to understand your product and then there is a whole process which goes on. एक्चुअली ये शार्क टैंक का भी काफी सारा इम्पैक्ट इसमें मेरे को लग रहा है लोगों को लगता
Unfortunately.
है कि 15 मिनट यू गॉन एंड पिच एंड यू गेट द मनी सो वहां पे इन्वेस्टर रेडी है वो सारे शार्क्स हैं तो कुछ ना कुछ पैसा डाल देते हैं तो इट्स एफर्ट ऑफ 15 मिनट सो दे डोंट रियलाइज दैट
Also, the big
बिसाइड्स
thing,
दैट
what you said, na Sonal, right now, we have to tell them 2 things. I say, when you see what you see on TV is 5-10 minutes, but it's
डिफरेंट
shot over 7 hours
राइट
minimum. Okay. But the bigger thing is we have to tell them that if you get a commitment from somebody, there is a process called due diligence, which takes months.
दैट
तो
टेक्स
ऐसा नहीं
टाइम
कि आपको कल सुबह अकाउंट में पैसे आ जाएंगे वन.
हाँ
Two, for a lot of them, their company is not ready from a compliance point of view to receive the money.
राइट
So we have to
राइट
tell them, boss, if you say it's a valuation, you have to get a certified merchant banker का valuation report, which costs you money. Okay, मरे से मरे it costs you 50-60,000 बहुत ही low में. Normal average price is 2 lakh rupees. One. Two, the fact that if you just take a DPIIT का registration, and I'm surprised still the smartest of them are, हाँ मैं सुना but they've not done it. I said, boss, it takes a while. You have to first get that. Unfortunately, in India, what happens, especially in tier 2, you tend to take a सस्ता वाला CA.
हाँ ठीक है एक ठप्पा लगवाना है वो कर देगा काम
ठप्पा
खत्म
लगवाना है, वो कर देगा काम, ठीक है.
हाँ
And we have to tell them those times have changed.
हम्म
Investors also like, and there was so much ambiguity in the angel space, angel tax. Certified, like, boss, first you do this process and then you come to me.
हम्म
So all this education is happening right now.
which is important मतलब sanitizing
Absolutely.
these guys on the basics is very very important reason behind you just can't get up and say कि कल मैंने कंपनी खोल ली परसों मुझे पैसा मिल जाएगा
Yes,
और life is sorted out so
life is
there is
sorted.
a journey which everybody has to go through and it's very important for these kids especially the college guys who started probably there's their first venture which these guys have got into So it's very important to sanitize these guys. And I think the session with Sujata would be very, very critical, where these guys will understand from basics that when you are sitting with a mentor or an investor, what are the kind of things which you need to pick up from them rather than funding.
Yes,
So I think a very interesting session. You should definitely take it up on priority with
absolutely.
these guys before you start putting them to mentors
So
because
two sessions we are going to do definitely. One is with Resurgent India for compliance and why is it necessary.
100%
Second
very
is of
important.
course with Sujata. Uh, but I'll tell you, the good part today is you don't have to explain what is a startup. You don't have to explain, that is a great part. And prop tech as a sector, सबको समझ आता है.
100%. That's a lot of hype which is being created for prop tech. So people understand prop tech as a sector. And I think, this is the right platform for you guys also to have pitched in or started with. Because, you can actually get a lot of brilliant projects or brilliant startups which can be taken to the next level, which will really help, probably growing and working with them. So I think they
I
really
think we are
need to
just
learn.
waiting for the first two batches to get over and get one success story. You get one success story,
Hmm.
then the quality of your applications will go up. The
हाँ
quality of
मतलब
investors who want to collaborate with you will go up. And as it has happened with all the other accelerators, what will happen is once that brand name is established, out these guys can discover great founders. Uh,
hmm,
so what will happen is investors will say, oh, you're part of Dolphin Tank, ये लो 25 लाख तो मैं तुमको दे रहा हूँ.
hmm. Yes, I
That
think
that is
the
also.
first success story is very important, and I'm hoping to hear that very soon to,
Yes,
to
yes.
probably go to the next
So again,
level.
that is something you cannot plot on an Excel sheet.
Hmm.
Bit of luck,
हाँ,
but we are very lucky that with first one, we have got some good traction. Hopefully, it will get converted. Uh, and that's the beauty of going to tier two because it's like right now a very virgin market. So even in that sense.
no, absolutely. I think, that's a very good start, I would say. So, coming back on the way forward, so it's like, since now the mentors are onboarded and the applications have been shortlisted, some discussions have already started, which are going on the right track. What is the way forward, what we can expect out of
So
Dolphin
cohort has
Tag
started.
right
Our
now?
first cohort has started. Okay, it's a 6
Right.
months process. Okay. So once we have this cohort goes into sort of auto mode where my bandwidth and my leadership bandwidth is not focused, then they have a calendar. These dates, these are the things that will happen. This mentor will take this session on this day. Investor pitch, whatever. Once it goes into that mode, which we are anticipating by December will go. So mid of January, we might announce applications for the second cohort.
Okay. So are you guys also planning some road shows or something for this
Yes,
cohort right
yes,
now for the
absolutely,
existing
absolutely.
cohort? Is there
For the existing
any thought
cohort.
process on those
In fact,
basis to let
what
more
we have
people know
also
about it?
done as a process is we are saying selected people, we will send them on immersion trips outside.
Okay.
So like I have a very dear friend who's also a mentor. His name is Rahul Bapat. So Rahul
Hmm.
Bapat owns about 55 commercial properties in Tokyo, Japan.
Wow.
He's been
Hmm.
living in Japan from the last 25 years.
Okay.
And he's very, very keen to get one or two of these people to come down to Japan, look at
Hmm.
collaborating with him, and then get access to Japanese funding, which is very large and the cheapest in the world, especially for real estate.
Hmm.
Okay.
True.
And that is also, and then we are also in discussions to say that if we can potentially probably take the entire cohort to
Hmm.
Japan for 3-4 days, they get to visit and Japan is way ahead in all this in terms of tech, you know.
In terms
Uh,
of tech, in terms of
yeah.
infrastructure, anything you
So
talk about.
Mitsubishi Real Estate,
Absolutely.
Nomura, all these guys, we are discussing with them. Okay.
Hmm.
So the idea is if you do this, and this is an investment we are making from our side in taking, what happens is then you're giving things which other accelerators are not doing.
Hmm.
Things money can't buy. We want to take them to Middle East because a
Hmm.
lot of Middle East money now is coming into Indian startup ecosystem, right? Uh, so take them, but more than Middle East, I would love to take them to say Japan. If somebody
Hmm.
is good enough, I would like to connect them to people in New York. So
Hmm.
I have a friend called Melinda Bush, who's very big in real estate. Okay.
Hmm.
She's on the board of Carlyle, TPG, Hyatt Hotels, all
Wow.
that. Okay.
So absolutely
If
brilliant. I
one
think,
of them can
these are
even get
something
any kind of a collaboration with any of these guys, that's news, right? But
100%.
right now we are working on getting the cohort ready for me to connect them. Because I connect somebody of that stature. I need to be very sure of,
The
नाम
guys
खराब
you're
ना.
connecting.
Yes. So अभी हमारा मेहनत पूरा मैक्सिमम कोहोर्ट को रेडी करने में जा रहा है. And then we'll open all these big guns. That's
Huh.
the idea.
I think, right now you must be more working on preparing the mentoring sessions which these guys have to go through with the various mentors,
Yes.
the road shows that you can talk about.
Road
And,
shows also in India, maybe take them to say Bangalore, Suram the ecosystem, take them to Bombay. So we can take them to the BSc or NSC has a startup program, take them there, get them to have a session where they can look at alternative sorts of funding, not just equity funding.
True.
We are also planning with the Startup India team, we want to keep a session for these cohort where they look at various kinds of government incentives that they have.
I think that would be really interesting because, coming from the financial domain that you're talking about, the government has a lot of initiatives, a lot of incentives for startups at various levels. लेकिन उनका कोई फायदा ही नहीं है because लोगों को पता ही नहीं है.
पता ही नहीं.
So ignorance that they're talking about, there is no solution to it. When people don't even know about it, so how is it going to be helpful? कि government जो मर्जी announce करे, government जो मर्जी करे, but if people are not aware about that, what are the various kind of incentives or other funding options which are available from them, from the government side also. So this, if that can be marketed to them, or if they can be made aware to them, that would be a really big achievement for these guys.
I agree. So
And
again, as I said, like SBI has launched a startup branch in Gurgaon in Cyber Hub. It's been a year.
not many people know about it.
And they have been, like on my case, we would love to do it, but sir, our challenge is we need paperwork in this format. Now, if we can do and they are also happy to offer their branch space. They have created branch. If startups want to do meetings or whatever here, we can do it. So, वो सब भी करेंगे. HSBC is now launched a startup program. Yes Bank has a startup program.
HSBC, I remember, was doing something with women founders. So have they done it with the others also?
Yes.
Okay.
But again, I said, the banks speak a certain language which the startup doesn't know.
Understand.
So we have to be the interpreter in between.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. Because a lot of startups I also come across, the moment we tell them about the bank funding, they get into little panic saying, कि इतना paper मांगेंगे, इतना data मांगेंगे, कैसे करेंगे. So preparing them on those perspective also is very important. That, that will help them in their fundraise journey as such. So I think that's also very critical right now.
Absolutely.
So next that we are talking about here is, once this Dolphin Tank is launched, everything is in place that we're talking about. That's a 6 months program that we're talking about, right?
Yes.
So after that, what we are expecting, for example, once like
so before this ends, we are hoping some of them will have raised a round of funding. Okay, the next round of funding. Some of them would have got a good enterprise.
How many startups do we have right now?
We have 9 signed up and we are looking to close 2 or 3 more.
Okay. That's a decent
the challenge
number.
Again is it's
that's a decent
clause
number.
by clause. Some of them are like, I don't want this clause. And then we have to tell them this is standard for everybody. I can't keep changing it and then more than them, their chartered accountants and their advisors all getting
everybody
all
will pick them.
Okay. So that's taken, but 9 we have signed up so far. Okay. There are 2-3 more who are, and again, being a startup founder, they all want to negotiate very hard. तो उसमें थोड़ा time लग रहा है. But I think 9 to 10 का first cohort हम निकाल देंगे. Cohort has already started. If we feel a few of them can join into the cohort even after some time, it's okay. Otherwise, we'll put them into the next cohort.
Okay, great. And what are the plans for the next cohort that we're talking about? PropTech ho gaya. So what are the other sectors which you think, you
So right now we want to stick to PropTech.
Okay.
We want to stick to PropTech right now. Okay. Because abhi na with all this, ek momentum bana hai. Okay. So ideally every 45 days to 60 days, we can launch a cohort. Because then what happens after 3 months, we'll have a large enough community of people who are all, and then see, today what happens if I want these guys to do something, most startups will have funding issues, budget issues. But if 5 of them come together and pool in their resources, they can do an event. Got it? So wo hamare paas, and then cross synergies. Somebody might have something which is of use to somebody else. So we want to build that. And then also what happens if I have like say 50 startups in my community of PropTech, then I come and talk to anybody in the ecosystem.
Hmm.
I go and talk to SBI. They would love to do an event with them.
Hmm.
Okay. Then I can also afford to hire somebody who says, okay, I can build the entire filing of how to get bank funding for all these guys.
Hmm.
Okay. So that's what we want. We want to stick to PropTech for now for at least 2 more cohorts. And our target wish list is about 40, 50 startups across all 3 cohorts.
That's a good start.
Law of
And
compounding में
by
first में 10 आए. अभी we are also now learning, so we're getting better. Now we are also understanding कि हाँ ये challenges are. तो second cohort में we can in the same time frame we are hoping to at least double the batch, 20.
100%. And plus, I think the quality of application could also comparatively improve
Absolutely.
quite a lot. Reason behind, now people, because when you started, this was the first time anybody was doing much into
Yes.
the prop tech space. So the application process, the shortlisting process, I'm sure was a bigger challenge. But now, since if one is launched and people are able to see that success coming in through, the other cohorts that we're talking about, second, the third one, the improved quality of applications and the process would also improve. So I think it's a good starting that we are looking at right now. And I'm sure, with time this would improve, and it's a very
Absolutely.
big boon
Absolutely.
for a prop tech founder if he can get
We are
some good.
having Sonal, I must tell you, we are having a lot of fun talking to different kinds of founders, understanding from them. We are also learning so much. We also didn't know because India is such a big country
I'm
that
sure.
we are even me. I am learning so much. Oh, अच्छा, this part of the ये sector में ये हो रहा है. So it's even for our mentors, that would be so much good fun to go and meet. And these are all very bright kids. Some of them, of course, not kids. They're quite senior. But it's the kind of domain expertise they have and the energy they bring.
I'm sure.
Even our mentors will have a lot of fun learning something new.
No, that's always there. I work as mentor with couple of startups, so it's always very exciting to know more about what these kids are doing, learning from them. There are so many things, that probably we from the old system have not been doing, but looking at these guys, we understand. Probably yes, this is something new, which is what these guys are doing, and can be a good process which can be looked at. So I think very impressive and very interesting work which you've been doing, Rahul. Just the last thing on those bases, how do you compare Dolphin Tank to the other prop tech accelerator platforms which are there? So what is the value addition that you
So I
guys are
think
getting?
right now there are not enough, there are very few.
Two, three of
The
them
first
are.
big difference is we are the only neutral. So most of the accelerators that I'm aware of in the real estate space are by a specific company. So Brigade has one, and Embassy Group has one. The challenge is if you get associated with one group, then for you to go and work with other groups is sometimes a bit of a challenge. Okay.
Hmm.
Uh, and most of them are in Bangalore and Bombay. We are the only
Hmm.
one in
Intelligence
NCR.
lab.
Okay. And we are neutral. Okay. We are the only ones who are tied up with a body like Naredco, Mahi, where we have access to so many mentors across.
Hmm.
Okay. We are the only ones where most of our mentors are all women.
Hmm.
And that makes such a difference. Okay. Because if you look at the startup world, so the difference I see in a startup founder and a normal CXO, whatever is, it's not a linear thing. You have 20 things happening. You have to have a lot of emotional resilience. And women, by definition, are wired to handle all of that very well, right? So that's our difference. Going forward, what is going to happen is if we create a few success stories, in most companies, especially
Hmm.
startups, Swiggy और Zomato में कोई फर्क नहीं है. It's the execution of it
हाँ मतलब
is where you make a difference.
strategy same है. It's just that कि probably
Yeah.
who has executed well.
So in any of these spaces, if somebody does something innovative, it gets copied very quickly. So it doesn't, that shelf life is very limited, right? So again, as I said, we are different in terms of a geography. We are neutral. We are the youngest right now. We have just started. So hopefully.
Great, wonderful. Okay, so I think very interesting and a very impressive session. And Rahul, I'm really looking forward to more about Dolphin Tank. It's been
Absolutely.
in discussion from last 4 months, 5 months. We've all been
Yes.
talking about, from the time it was launched, what is happening at Dolphin Tank. So I think this session was very important from the companies who've been onboarded, from the mentors' perspective, that what are we exactly planning in the dolphin tank space. And fingers crossed, I think, one success story. And I think this will be the talk of the town next. So all the very best to you
Thank you so
for
much.
the way forward that we are looking at, and looking forward to more accelerator platforms, because, with a mentor
Absolutely.
like you, I'm sure, the prop tech industry is really looking forward to more startups coming up and more
Absolutely.
success stories. Thank you so
Thank you
much
so
for
much,
all your
Sonal.
time. Thank you so much. And we will really look forward to connecting with you in future.